let's get into the main event. No, not the final match. The main event of the whole show, which was CM Punk's promo. I have made the executive decision that I am going to break this fucking promo down like line by line. I've literally pretty much written an essay on this promo, and I really hope it doesn't make you guys turn off. But as as a Phil Brooks, a member of the cult of personality that is led by CM Punk, I thought that it was the right thing to do. It was what I wanted to do. Because I'm doing this review late, I've definitely heard a lot of like reviews and analysis of Punk's promo, and some of them I was raising an eyebrow at a few times. So I decided I wanted to fully break this down from the perspective of a longtime Punk fan, because this channel is a pro Punk channel. If you want to see some, good content on that front, you can look at my kind of breakdown, timeline breakdown of the whole Punk situation, which I did a couple months ago. This is not an elite hating channel. I am not an elite hater. Kenny Omega would be in my top 5 wrestlers of all time. So please don't think that or accuse me of that. But I have been a Punk fan for a really, really, really long time, going through Ring of Honor. And I think that no matter like what side you're on, shall we say, I think that people that like don't fully buy into Punk or fully have like the history of Punk, or are able to like really, see him like fully for what he is, good and bad. I think they kind of misinterpret some things about him. And the way I was thinking about it today is think about a songwriter. Think about maybe who your like favorite songwriter is. I'm going to use as an example, I'm going to choose Miss Taylor Swift. She's not my favorite songwriter, but she's a lot more accessible than than anyone I like or could sit and talk about. So like, let's just use her as an example because she's a huge star. And I'm sure that there are like reviewers and critics who point out things in her lyrics that they dislike to almost, discredit her. But I would say that the people that are like hardcore fans of hers and that have investment, there's stuff these people are trying to point out that they think makes them so clever for seeing. The hardcores already know this shit, and that's part of what they like. Like, they know the Easter eggs, they know her good points and her bad points, like how she is as a narrator. And that's part of why they like her. They see like a fully rounded package. And of course, there's like millions of people, around the world that can connect to her, like on a surface level. But this is what I see with Punk and a lot of the criticism, of him, things he said. As someone that's like a longtime fan of his and definitely sees like the full picture of who Phil Brooks is, rather than who he wants to present himself as or how other people want to present him as, a lot of the kind of the bad stuff, I'm just like, yeah, no thanks, So let's get into it. Like, firstly, we can get into like whether he's working or shooting later. That's always a fun debate. But anyway, Punk comes out. He's got his shoes around his neck. Odd look, gotta say. He's got something in a bag. What's in the big red bag? He was looking like Santa Claus. I was like, oh man, if you're gonna have ice creams in there, they'll be melted by the time you get to the ring. But it wasn't. It was the world title that he, of course, never lost. In general, I thought he looked really good. He looked like he was, ready for action. Daddy Punk initiated. He is there. So he started his promo by saying, I don't know if you guys heard, but I'm tired of being nice. Awesome opening line, because when Punk came back, that initial rush, on Rampage, and this lasted for months of him being this guy. He was happy to be there. He was jumping into the crowd. That was too nice, CM Punk. And I think it was something that like a lot of the long-term fans of his just kind of got tired of like pretty quickly, because like the best Punk has venom. He isn't nice. So I thought that was funny, and it was also a good line, because there are many people that will tell you that CM Punk has never been nice in his whole life, and no one would ever accuse him of that. So him just coming out there and saying like, I'm tired of being nice, it was like, when? So he said he was gone 10 months with a ruptured tricep tendon. He tore it off the bone, but I'm still here, and as long as I am, this is a professional wrestling business. It is a business of grown-ups. This has never been a popularity contest, and we all know I would have lost that a long time ago. So the word business and the talk of money, that'll come up a lot. So I've got to save my thoughts on that for like a little bit later down the line. But the grown-ups mentioned, that was an interesting line. Of course, before the Collision debut, we had the ESPN article where Punk said some things. And in that, he said that he tried to reach out to the Bucks and Omega, but he had been told by like lawyers or whoever not to talk to these people. And, you know, the Bucks they've been accused of being passive aggressive people in the past. And Punk definitely was putting out there, you know, that he had tried to speak to them. He's definitely presenting himself as the grown-up in this situation. It's a business of grown-ups, and he is the grown-up. He is saying that he is the guy who wants to hash it out. And you know what? Like, frankly, they need to, because this separation, if the Bucks and Kenny and Punk seriously can't even, you know, speak to each other or whatever, that is like a terrible business plan, and that does need to be sorted out. And this whole situation has been calling out for grown-ups from the very beginning, but whatever. But he's presenting himself as a grown-up, and not even, you know, that saying that he tried to contact the Bucks and the Elite. We've heard reports before that he had a meeting that Chris Jericho was involved in, and you know, if he did that, that was him being a grown-up to being, you know, willing to sit down there. So it's just funny, like what he said in the ESPN article coming out, and he puts in this like subtle, like, this is a business of grown-ups thing, and that's definitely how, you know, he wants us all to see him, whether you agree or not. So he then said, tonight we're going to have a little conversation about the future, but first I would like to have a conversation about my past, which I don't think is checkered. Big agree there from me. He then went on to say, if you told a 15-year-old me that you're going to sell out Budokan, you're going to sell out Madison Square Garden, you're going to sell out multiple times every single building in Chicago with a roof, well, I'm not sure little punker would have believed you. But that's because he didn't experience what present me standing here in front of all you crazy bastards has experienced. So he's just making sure he's letting you know straight off the bat that Punk is the money, Punk is the guy that sells out arenas. And, you know, I don't think that it was sold out for Collision, and I don't think that they've been doing like gangbuster ticket sales recently, and they certainly haven't been doing them, you know, for the upcoming shows in Canada, and hopefully Punk will improve that. But a nice little, you know, nod there of how Phil is the money man. So then he said, I'm tired of being nice. Tell me when I'm telling lies. I did all these things and I got here to this place riding a wave, riding the backs of smart, passionate professional wrestling fans like you. And oh gosh, I never fit in somewhere more in my entire life than I have here in professional wrestling. I love you for it. I love you because you love me, and you love me because I have never compromised. I've been unapologetic my entire career. I am me. I couldn't have done all of this without you. So I love this. Punk, you know, of course, he had big success in WWE, but he has always appealed most to like the smarter fan, and dare I say, even the snarkier fan. And he knows that. This guy is terminally online and always has been in his career, even if he now does it in secret. Rest assured that Phil Brooks is reading everything we have to say about him. And that like unapologeticness is something that fans of his love. Should he have done what he did at the scrum? No. Was it the most CM Punk thing to do ever? Yes. And I don't believe that you can buy into him and who he is and then turn around and be totally mad at him, you know, for what he did. Like, this is like, you know, we created this monster basically. You know, we cheered the pipe bomb. We understood, you know, and supported when he said fuck you to WWE. It was always going to lead to something like this. So then he said, but it seems some people hate me for the same reason you all love me. Hey, listen, I understand. The magnitude of me makes people uncomfortable. I very much understand that my mere presence makes people uncomfortable. That's because I am the truth, and the truth is painful. Punk, you know, he does always tell the truth. And it might be his truth and colored by his own bias or sometimes even his own paranoia. But he speaks his truth. And there was a truth, an uncomfortable truth to what he said at the scrum, for sure. He called out something that definitely was an issue that it just seemed like no one was really willing to address. The EVPs maybe not living up to their titles. And as I said, I have nothing against the Elite, but I don't think from what the past couple of years has shown us that they have overall contributed enough to AEW, like in a backstage sense, in a company sense, in a helping you know, build it, as like a Danielson is now stepping up, Moxley, Jericho, maybe even Punk himself, and Cody, I think as well. Cody was way more invested in actually being an EVP than the rest of them. But the fact is that they hold those titles. And I think that Punk, you know, kind of wanted to call out why. Like, why are they holding these titles when he just didn't see them maybe doing stuff that was worthy of that? And like, look, right now, if it's an issue of them not being willing to hash things out with Punk as an executive, that's not good. That's not good at all. And then he went on to say, that sign right here says CM Punk is my hero, and you can call me that. That sign here says Pepsi Phil, you can call me that. And that sign says CM Junk, you can call me that. Boo me, cheer me, love me, hate me. You all do, because you know I'm right. Now we get into the bit that is like the headline quote from it. You can call me whatever you want. You know what David Zaslav calls me? One Bill Phil. That's because I am the one true genuine article in a business full of counterfeit bucks. The king is back, baby. And I do have a lot of things to get off my chest. And then at this point, the crowd did start chanting, fuck the Elite. It's Chicago. So yeah, the One Bill Phil counterfeit bucks line, like that is the headline from this promo. And like, firstly, it's a great line. And it's a great way to mention or throw shade at the Bucks without violating NDAs or whatever it is that's really going on. The funniest criticism that I saw of this was people saying that Punk talking about money was like so heelish. Or him mentioning David Zaslav, who's the Warner executive, a big executive, when there is like the writer's strike going on, was like super heelish. And then he does invoke the name of Joe Strummer later, and I'm a big Clash fan and a big Joe Strummer fan. But so people were like, I saw some people being like, how dare you invoke the name of Joe Strummer when you're then also cozying up to someone like David Zaslav and there's a writer's strike going on. Okay. If you were ever thinking that CM Punk wasn't about making money or that he isn't a capitalist, I honestly don't know what planet you've been on. And if you think that his fans don't know that, then I guess you're just very naive or something, because like this man fell out with his own brother over money. Or go watch the excellent WWE Punk documentary. He's always talked about money. What did he say at the scrum? That the $1 million gate was being jeopardized. He's trying to run a business. This is all part of who CM Punk is and has always been. Okay, Punk is not going to lead a socialist revolution. Punk is not your socialist hero. He's a fucking pro wrestler working for a billionaire who used to work for another billionaire. Like, no mainstream wrestler, musician, actor, whatever, is not about the money in some way. If they were not about the money, they would give most of their money away. And Punk isn't even the greediest wrestler going. So, yeah, maybe it's heelish to mention Zaslav, but it ain't out of nowhere. And I don't think it's even in the way that MJF, talks about money either, because, MJF is very much like, you have to pay to see me. I'm not wrestling on free TV, like that kind of thing, where I think Punk was more saying that like he, as the draw, is going to, work to make this company money. But I just thought it was funny that people calling him out for this mention, because with Punk, it's really all about like the duality of the man. If you followed this man, and if you're invested in this man, you have to see like the two sides of them. This is a man that will do something awesome. Like at the end of this taping, he's there holding up a sign saying support LGBTQ plus youth, which is amazing and just so, like warmed my heart and it really hit me, to see him doing that and like give that platform. And that's amazing, and, there was the times that he was wearing the pro women's reproductive rights shirts and stuff. And he does all those great things. And then like the next week he'll turn around and call a fan a virgin in the audience. Like that's who Punk is. Like many times throughout the history of CM Punk have I been left sitting being like, Phil, we were so close. But yeah, he's complicated. He's not perfect. He's a fucking human. And I think some people who don't like him can't accept that. In a way, they think that everyone that likes him thinks he's, like absolutely perfect and everything he does is right. And like, that's like not actually true. You see, I think Punk's biggest strength is his biggest weakness. He lives by an unforgiving code, which is admirable, but human beings are flawed, and Punk seems to have a disdain for people's flaws. Punk has like a total superiority complex, like, of course, but that's what you have to buy into with him. Like he is a self-righteous dude, and he is able to really, in the past, he's been able to work that really well, into his character. Some of the stuff he did in Ring of Honor, think of something like the Straight Edge Society. Like his look on Collision was really making me think of like Straight Edge Society Punk, So, then he said, I got a question, Chicago. Why would I change? This is what Joe Strummer trained me for. I will always speak truth to power. I will always be myself. I will never compromise. And there are people that think they're owed an apology. I've grown older and wiser in my years. Sometimes it's better to be a bigger man. If you feel you're here today and I owe you an apology, here it is. I am sorry that the only people softer than you are the wrestlers you like. Tell me when I'm telling lies. So no fan of Punk wanted him to come out there and apologize, of course. He said in the ESPN article that he apologized to Tony Khan. And I think, Tony deserved that apology, though he also should have some apologizing to do. And that's good. But I think that was a great line, because people that like Punk and think that he's right will love that line. And for the people that don't like him, it just winds them up. And anyone that doesn't like him was tuning into the show to be fucking wound up by CM Punk. That's what they were here for, and he gave them that. And I think that there's people that will never ever like him again over what's happened with the Elite. So like, why not say something like that? He's a fucking, he's a wrestler. He's out there to antagonize people, whether he can use real life stuff or not. And then he said, the last time you saw me with my tricep meat hanging down, gross, I held what's in this bag above my head, and it's not because I deserved it. It's mine because I earned it, and it's not mine because I had the best dog collar match. It's mine because I won the dog collar match. Tell me when I'm telling lies. There are those of you who I'm sure are praying to whatever God you believe in, that I'm going to put his boots down here in this ring and walk into the sunset, never to be seen again. But until there's somebody in this company that can fill these boots, they belong in my feet. Tell me when I'm telling lies. I love this. Of course, he didn't lose the championship. He was stripped of it, which he would have been anyway if he hadn't gone off and won, because he was injured. And just him saying this, like alluding to the fact that he's the champion without the belt, the rightful champion, angling towards an MJF match, it's just going to make people angry. The people that don't like him, like, this will make him proper angry. There were people watching this going, are they really going to put the belt on this fucking guy? And I don't know if they are or when they are. But I will say that the reason I never ever thought that CM Punk wasn't coming back to AEW, I never ever thought he was done, no matter what he said about the Elite, no matter what happened with him and Hangman, no matter what happened with him and Moxley, no matter who called him a cancer, was because I know how much Tony fucking loves CM Punk. So I don't think for a second that Tony would not put the belt on this guy at some time. So just overall thoughts. It was a great promo. It was everything that I wanted from him. And for all the people who don't like him, he gave you what you wanted too. More reasons to hate him. So I think that's a win all around, and I will say with the Elite, I really do love Omega, and I have a ton of respect and admiration for the Young Bucks too. So I please, like, anything I've said, don't take as anti-Elite stuff. And I do truly believe, when this story of CM Punk and AEW, when the final chapter is written in that story, if Punk is the hero, the Elite and Hangman are not going to be the main antagonist villains. I think that however this whole saga of Punk and AEW ends, it's not going to be, the Elite aren't going to be the ones that, are the catalyst in the end. I think that there's people that never wanted him there in the first place and certainly aren't happy they're back, and they're more happy he's back, and they're more the people I'd be kind of watching my back over than the Elite and Hangman. There was so many. I've heard a lot of people talk about, that he's going to be Bret in 97, be babyface in Chicago and heel everywhere else. And we'll see how that works with the crowd reactions coming up. It'll be interesting to see what kind of a reaction he gets in Canada. The only thing like negative was he should have hyped the main event in some way, even if he just said, like, I'm back and I'm going to take it all the way back to the beginning. And that's why I'm fighting Samoa Joe tonight, alluding to their history in Ring of Honor, just any kind of little line that hyped up the fact that he was getting in the ring with one of his greatest rivals of all time, Samoa Joe, and the greatest wrestler in the world, Jay White. Just anything about that, because it did feel like he was just like looking over it and past that, because it, as far as building something up, it was more like he was building up coming after MJF than what he was immediately back for tonight. Was it a shooter of the work? or work. I think this whole thing with him and the Elite, as it stands now with everything, it fucking better be a shoot. You know, it better be. But I think that he knew what he could get away with. I knew that he had to address this stuff in some way, and he did. He didn't like revel in any of the "fuck the Elite" chants, but I do think he wants to be a heel, so he wanted to mention that. But finally, you know, when it's all said and done, like this promo just brought back home to me like how much I missed CM Punk, because Punk just makes things real. And whether they are or not, he is the most captivating speaker. And I want that. I want things to feel real. And maybe you don't, and that's fine. But it's what I want from wrestling. And it's what I've missed when he was away. And, you know, at the same time that he was away, Eddie Kingston was away most of the time too. And he's like the only other guy that brings that. And then, especially before Double or Nothing, I think there was some really bad stuff creatively, some bad acting and things that I just couldn't buy into even 1%. When it comes to Punk, I can always buy into him. I can buy into him 100%. And that's why I'm so glad he's back. I'm glad we've got that guy now. I'm glad we've got that guy on the show that is going to make you feel. He's going to hit you in the heart. He's going to hit you in the head and make you think. And I want that. And not everyone wants that, but I do.